Through time, people have claimed they've been able to communicate with the dead, and one way of doing this is by using a Ouija board. A board that some religious groups claim can lead to demonic possession and even death. The mere mention of a Ouija board, or talking board as it's also known, can make some people go white with fear. But why is it that a piece of painted wood can cause such an adverse effect? According to Wikipedia, it's reported that a businessman introduced the first commercially available product on July the 1st, 1890. But then it was only released as a parlour game and had no connection with the occult. So at what point did it become the tool we know today? To be honest, the whole thing is a bit sketchy, and some say a similar device was used in China round about 1100 AD. But it is claimed that the modern version was first used as a way to contact the dead in World War I by an American spiritualist, Pearl Curran. Since then, the board has become a thing of legend, and even most non-believers seem to draw the line when it comes to using one. But in order to find out a bit more, I decided to ask the people on the internet about their thoughts, and you didn't let me down. Loads of you replied with your opinions and experiences. Had a go several times in my teens. Used it in the past just to see what would happen. Connected to a spirit, and he gave. I don't actually believe the word.
I suppose that if it's used in the correct manner, I would consider having a go on one. I guess it's the fear of the unknown.
I've never used one, but I would give it a go. I've done and would do it again, even though most people warn against it. You're right. I was brought up in a religious family, so everything like
Oh,
that.
hello. I've done one, but my mum was always said.
I was always warned off from using one. I would. But hungry for more information, I then decided to hit the streets and speak to some members of the public to ask their thoughts.
Do you believe in Ouija boards?
No.
Do you believe in Ouija boards?
Yeah.
Do you believe in Ouija boards?
No.
Do you believe in Ouija boards?
Yeah.
I don't know, don't believe in supernatural.
I've never used a Ouija board in the past.
Would you use one?
No.
For what reason?
But basically the same reason, but you hear loads of stories anyway, and you just don't mess around with things like that. Yeah, you don't mess around with things like that, you leave it alone.
No, I've done it as a kid and I thought somebody were pushing it.
I personally haven't seen anybody use one.
I don't think it makes any sense, and I think it scares some people.
No, I do believe in them, yeah, because somebody I know, a demon got attached to a ring, apparently.
It doesn't scare me, but I think it scares other people, and so I don't really think it's a good thing.
I saw a bloody woman in front of me, slamming the brakes on, slid the bike, and when we got up, there was no one there, right? And this bloody Ouija board thing, I think that was what triggered it off.
Well, I don't want somebody following me about, so...
So you do believe in them then?
Yeah, apparently so.
So, there you go. Even the public seem a bit confused about the whole affair. So what next? I needed to speak to someone who had actually used the board, and that's when Joanne contacted me with her experience.
I first become interested in the paranormal around the age of 12, 13.
For what reason?
People doing it in school, silly stuff in school like Ouija boards on paper, saying they'd turned into the devil while they were doing these Ouija boards, so I wanted to do one. There was me, my mum, my elder brother, my cousin, my mum's brother and his wife. They were the ones that with the spiritual ones, the tarot cards, stuff like that. They were doing the Ouija board and the glass was moving to the questions and giving answers to the questions they were asking. I panicked and said that I didn't believe that what was happening was real, and that I wanted to do it on my own. So they asked the spirits if that I could do it on my own, and it went to yeah. So they all took the fingers off and I did it by myself. It answered a couple of questions. Apparently he was called Bill. I asked his date of birth, he gave me that. I asked him a couple of other questions like how did you die? When did you die? And on asking the question of when did you die, the glass flew off the Ouija board. It was also a glass Ouija board and a glass, what we were holding, so it made a screech, shot off the Ouija board and smashed against the wall.
So there you go, that is Joanne's story. I'd have no reason to think that she's lying or making any of it up, but it does make me wonder that because she was a child at the time, has her brain somehow enhanced it all to make it a bit more dramatic. The human brain is a very complex tool that can store all sorts of information, including what is described as false memories. The syndrome misinformation effect is where a person starts off with a memory and then adds or takes away things to create a whole new memory, and that person will then be convinced that that is what has happened. Scientists say this is something we can all do at some point in our lives, especially when it comes to childhood memories. It doesn't mean that Joanne's done that, but it is an option that must be considered. Now, Ouija boards come in all sorts of designs and can be easily bought online for as little as £15. And with the added effects of TV and films and cinema, it seems our fascination with these boards will carry on for the foreseeable future. Well, at least for some of us. Now I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, guys, you normally look a lot fitter than that. You've got women running all over you. But I've just been woke up by the postman. And he's delivered something. Now, as you know, I'm a great believer in you don't know what you're talking about until you actually experience it. So earlier on this week, I bought myself a Ouija board online, and I think it's arrived. Either that, or it's my deluxe blow-up doll. Whichever, I'm gonna be happy. So obviously it's the board. It comes with the board itself, the pointer, and a set of instructions, which I'll obviously read later on. Now the thing is, I'm still really nervous, even more so now that I've got it. So I think I need to go and speak to someone else, just to make sure I'm doing all this right. And I've managed to get in contact with Nikki, who claims to be able to speak to the dead and has experience with Ouija boards.
My first instance was a child, like you do, messing about with my kid friends, but we didn't really take it seriously then. It did move, but your mates are there and they're messing, so you don't know, do you? You don't take it seriously when you're young.
I think everybody does that.
Yeah, I've had a few positive experiences with it. To be honest, I don't use it a whole lot of the time. I do take it on some investigations, but I've had some good communications with it. If there is somebody there, you don't know who you're letting through. You can't be picky and choose it and say, you know, I only want something good to come through. Because 9 times out of 10, it probably will be something, and they do lie. So you don't even know if it's a positive spirit telling you the truth or something negative lying to you, because it can be deceitful.
Now I have to be honest, what I don't get is that a mass-produced board that was sold by the millions and was originally a game, all of a sudden became a tool for channeling spirits. I suppose the only way I'm actually going to find that out is by finally doing it myself. Well, as you can see, I'm getting ready for the night visit. I'm going to spend a few hours in the haunted woods with a Ouija board, as you know. Now, I thought I would show you a little bit of what I'm taking so that you'll know what type of pains I go through for y'all. This is my camera bag. I've got 2 DSLRs, a selection of lenses, obviously a lot of batteries as well for both cameras, flashes, etc., which I won't be needing them. Another case which has got my action cams in, which is one that I'm using now. I've got another action cam here which is a backup. I've got a 360 camera and a night vision camera with a selection of mounts. Underneath that I've got a audio case which has got a sound recorder in, lavalier mic, and other mics as backups should I need them. I've also got lights and an old light that I've got to pick up, and then there's obviously the stands and tripods and a ground sheet to sit on. Now, the reason I'm taking so much equipment is, one, I want to make sure that anything that is caught, if anything does happen, cannot be disputed. I do not want a grainy photograph, I do not want a grainy video. I want something that is as clear as day and that you all can see it. Obviously, the other reason I'm going to be doing it like that is because I want to show that I actually am on my own, because I do keep getting people contacting me saying, I don't believe you're on your own. Well, yes, I am. Anything that does happen is 100% true. If nothing happens, that's exactly what I'll show. Nothing happens. Okay, so that is the equipment, or some of the equipment anyway. The odds are there will be more stuff getting added onto that. Fingers crossed something will happen, and if it does, then it'll all be captured. So that is nearly it. I'm nearly ready to go. Just got a few more things to take care of, and then we'll be in the woods. It was at this point an old friend of mine made contact and said she would fly over from Spain to have a chat about what I'm about to do. Sam is a successful medium and regression therapist, amongst other things, over in Malaga, where she now lives and runs her own practice. But she's also known for her role on TV's Ghost Trail, which is broadcast on GBC over in Gibraltar, which has just had season 3 aired on the channel.
He's angry, he's wanting to throw things around. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I'm also a medium and a spirit releasement practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist. I basically work on a holistic level. Now, my thought on Ouija boards, and I felt like this throughout my whole spiritual experiences, training, working with spirit releasement, working in haunted places, doing huge cleanses, dealing with deep mental issues like depression, suicide, people who are just lost and misunderstood. It all relates. I'd say probably about 90% of my clients who come to me for help with thoughts that they feel are not their own, suicidal thoughts, maybe from a child they've always felt they've not belonged, anger, unexplainable addictions that have come from nowhere. It's all mainly involved with doing Ouija boards. Quite often you will find that teenagers will be on them with no idea of the consequences or the health dangers of Ouija boards. And what's quite brilliant in the way that spirit work is it's like having a packet of Skittles, if that makes any sense. And the red ones are the angry souls that may have been down here for maybe hundreds of years. They don't want any help. They're the ones that kind of suck and feed energetically on people. They're the ones that I see. So what happens when people are using Ouija boards? They're bringing in a very, very low energy. They're bringing in souls that may not be complete. They may, if somebody's died very quickly of suicide, or if there's been a car crash, or somebody's not realised they've passed, that soul is stuck, and it normally stays in the lower vibration. So you can call those like the red skittles. Then you may get other souls that are maybe orange, and they're like wanting forgiveness, and oh, I've just realised I've passed. So they need a different type of healing. Then you may have the yellow souls that are loved ones that are really needing help, that haven't gone up to the light. Now you've got a mix of all these souls. Now if somebody doesn't know a red skittle from an orange skittle to a yellow skittle, and they're opening a portal to bring all these energies in, then you've got a problem. Because the bad spirit, maybe the red ones, the angry spirit who don't know they're alive and they'll be in haunted places, they will manipulate the Ouija board, and they may even pretend to be a loved one. A soul can feed onto another soul. So when the Ouija boards are being used, what happens is spirit will manipulate and people will feel fine in the energy. And then what happens after is the lower energy, they may get the loved one coming in and go, oh, my mum's coming, brilliant. What they don't understand, or what they don't realise, is the lower energy, the bad souls, the lower energy souls are the ones that then start to cause the health effects. I'd say be very, very careful and make sure that you are armed and protected energetically in your physical body. Ideally, I'd prepare you before. Ideally, I would love to join you just to check there's nothing untoward. You can get hit with lower energy spirit that can attack when you're doing this type of thing. Also, if you're going to go into a forest, you're dealing with elemental energy, which is involving a different type, which can also kind of strengthen the lower energy spirit. So it will be awesome. It will be an incredible experience. Yeah, I would like to either get you prepared beforehand energetically so you can feel and do whatever you need to do and know when to start, because this is what I need to do. This is the passion for me, is to educate people in it. If you know, it's a bit like, would you have an unqualified doctor performing an operation, or a surgeon? So for me, there has to be a knowledge of what you are doing, what you are tapping into, and how you're protected.
Now I'm on my way to the Haunted Woods. I'm going to be going there to set up. I'm going to be sat in these woods on my own, performing the Ouija board. Now, what do I actually think about the Ouija board? I'm not sure. I'm very nervous, I'll be honest with you. I think that's because when you grow up as a kid, you hear that many stories about it, it sort of like gets ingrained into your mind. And obviously you see films and you hear stories off other people. There's TV programs all using them and they're all saying that they work. And it makes you nervous. Now, especially when you're going to be doing something like this. It's, what do I actually think though, truthfully? I don't see how it can work. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a board with numbers painted on it, letters painted on it, and a couple of symbols. I don't see how it can work. I don't see, if there is anything of, life after death, I don't see how that can work. But at the same time, stranger things have happened. Now, there's a lot of people that guarantee that this works, and I really, really hope it does, because if it does, that means there is something on the other side. When I've looked at everything, what I found out is when you look on the internet and you look at programs, etc., everybody seems to work. Nobody does it and goes, shite, it never worked. So maybe I'm going to be the first, I don't know. If that is the case, if it doesn't work, like I always say, just because it hasn't worked for me, it doesn't mean that everybody else is lying. It just means that, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what it means, because I keep going to these haunted places and nothing's happening. Maybe I'm just unlucky, I don't know. Anyway, we've arrived. and I'm going to get all the stuff out, and next time you'll see me, I'll be in the forest. Dun, dun, dun. Well, as you can see, I'm now in the forest, and I've got quite a few cameras so that you can see that I'm on my own as well. I've got the main camera there. I've got one camera here, which is watching the Ouija board itself. I've got a 360 camera there, and I've got an action camera there, okay, with 2 lights and a light behind me. Oh, and I've got the night vision camera as well. Okay, so a few cameras just to prove that none of this is trickery. I am on my own as usual. So I've got a Ouija board. I spoke to quite a few people now, and they've all said you shouldn't be doing it alone, you shouldn't go in the woods, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Whether it's going to work or not, I'm not sure. So I've gone out and I've bought a Ouija board. As you can see, this is the Ouija board here. It cost me about, I think it was about 20 quid off eBay. It didn't cost me a lot. So I thought, right, well, I'll buy one and we'll get started now. Like I said, I've read up quite a bit on what can happen and what can't happen, etc, etc. So we should be okay. I must admit, out of everything that I've done, I mean, I've done the homeless thing where I've slept on the streets for 7 days, I've hunted serial killers, I've done a lot, as you know, if you've watched my channel. And this is the one that I'm a little bit nervous of. I don't know why, but it seems to be a regular theme within people, actually. I mean, when I've been speaking to people, as you've seen on the video, you know, when you ask them if they believe in the paranormal or Ouija boards, they say no. And then when you say to them, would you do one? They all say no, which is a bit, it conflicts really, because, you know, if you don't believe in the paranormal, you don't believe in Ouija boards, then why wouldn't you do one? Anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to have a good go at this. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Apparently this wood is supposed to be haunted. It's the wood in Style. Have you seen the Haunted Woods video that I did? You'll know what I'm talking about. If not, then flick over, have a look at that as well. So that's it, Ouija board, little triangle thing. I think is it called a plinth? Not sure. Anyway, apparently I've got to start on a G. Okay, so there's the G. Put my fingers on it lightly and then do a circle. Okay, and then ask if there's anybody there. Okay, so my fingers are really lightly on it. Are there any spirits here? Are there any spirits that want to speak to us? If there's any spirits that want to speak to us, please move the marker. Now, according to users of the board, the process can be quite a lengthy one, and the key is perseverance, and that's what I did. If there's any spirits that want to speak to us now, please let me know. That was me moving it, by the way, before everybody starts getting excited. It is very cold, just to let you know as well. We are in the middle of winter, November. By the time you get this video, it should be around about December time, okay? Is there anybody there? Are there any spirits that want to speak to us? By now, I was starting to get into it and my nerves were starting to relax. But still, I must admit, if anyone had come from behind the lights to ask what I was doing, I would have totally pooed myself. Are there any spirits that want to speak to us? Please move the marker if there is. Please don't be shy. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm doing it as light as I can. Is there any spirits that want to speak to us? Please make yourself known. We're trying to communicate with the spirits that are out there. If there are any spirits, please let yourself be known by moving the marker. Please move it to yes. At this point, my legs were starting to ache and I needed a rest. But what was about to happen really did scare me. I'm just going to leave that there a minute. Now, as you can see, nothing has happened yet, but I'll carry on trying and we'll see if anything does come through at all. Like I said, don't know whether this is true or not, but even I'm nervous about doing it. I'll be honest with you, at this moment in time nothing is happening. When the plinth or whatever marker, whatever you want to call it, when that's moving, that is actually me who's doing that, because I'm sat in an uncomfortable position. Ooh. All those years of martial arts to fight a leaf. See that? Reactions like a ninja. Right. That scared me then, that. That's going in the video. Now, as you can see, nothing has happened apart from a leaf falling out of the tree, but we are in the forest, so let's not all get excited, okay? So we'll carry on. Heart still racing, I decided to get on. Is there anyone there? Are there any spirits that want to speak to us? Are there any spirits that want to make themselves known? If there is, please move to yes. Would you like to spell out your name? Now, I have to say, I was really concentrating at this point, but yet still not a sausage. And I was starting to wonder what all the fuss was about. Is it really all in our minds, or is it just our friends pushing out the words? Whatever it is, I'm getting nothing. Zero, zilch, bog all, so I took a break. I've had a little bit of a break, because obviously my legs are starting to hurt me. Getting on a bit, you know. So I'm going to try again. Just because I don't want people going, he hasn't tried long enough, because that's what you tend to find. But what people tend to forget is that I'm here a long time, and what you're watching is cut down to half an hour, depending on how long the documentary is. So just remember that. Okay, so anyway, back on the G. Give it a bit of this. Okay. Is there anybody there? Are there any spirits that want to speak to us tonight? If there is, please move to yes. Are there any spirits that want to speak to us tonight? If there is, please move to yes. If you watch films, ghost hunting programs and speak to those who have used them, you have to question how much is make-believe and how much is just for entertainment. Because at the moment, I'm still not coming across anything. If there's any spirits that want to communicate with us tonight, please do so. Please move to yes. Please move to yes. If there's any spirits that want to speak to us tonight, I'm here to communicate with you. If you're there, please move the marker to yes. Now there are people all over the world that use these and claim they have spoken to the dead. But the word here is claim, and nothing has ever been proven 100% real. And that is why I'm doing this. If there's anyone there, if there's any spirits that want to contact us tonight, please do so. Please move the marker to yes. Please move the marker to yes. If there's anybody there, if there's any spirits that want to contact us tonight. One thing I have noticed by using the board is that my arms and hands get tired because of the unnatural position that they're in, and because of that it puts pressure on the marker and moves it slightly. So, is it easy to manipulate even unintentionally? Obviously there's nobody who wants to speak to us, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye, goodbye, and end the session there. Now, that said, I've heard so much about these boards and even I was a bit nervous. Nothing has happened as per usual. Now obviously there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say, you know, it does work, it does, and maybe it does, but it didn't for me. And I'm not about to tell lies just for the sake of it. I'm not about to move it just for the sake of it. I know there'll be people out there with all sorts of excuses, from everything from it's because there wasn't more of you, to I've got negative energy, which I haven't, to even you shouldn't be on a blue sheet. Okay, there'll also be people saying the leaf was a sign. No, it wasn't. It was coming from the trees. But they're my personal opinions, okay? I've set all the cameras up round here so that you can see what I'm seeing, what I'm doing, so there's no trickery involved. I was hoping that there might have been something at least, but there's nothing at all. So, that's it. I've came here what I needed to do. I've given it a real good go because I've been here a few hours now and there's been nothing. My legs are absolutely killing me. It's cold and I should be at home in bed with my wife, but I keep doing this for you lot, so just remember that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget, do something that scares you.